Imagine surviving the most destructive weapon ever created. Now imagine surviving it twice. One man didn't just witness history. He walked away from two separate atomic bombings, 3 days apart. Doctors couldn't explain how he lived. The military barely believed his story. Even decades later, people wondered if it could possibly be true. Yet every detail was documented. This is the unbelievable true story of the only officially recognized survivor of both Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The war had dragged on for years. Japan was exhausted. Food was scarce. Cities had already been devastated by conventional bombing. But no one, not even Japan's military leaders, could imagine what was about to happen. 29-year-old engineer Tsutomu Yamaguchi had spent several months working in Hiroshima. On the morning of August 6th, he was preparing to return home. His suitcase was packed. His business trip was over. He was less than 2 miles from the center of Hiroshima. Then, he realized he had forgotten an important document. That small mistake changed his life forever. At 8:15 in the morning, the sky exploded. A blinding white flash instantly became brighter than the sun. People miles away instinctively covered their eyes. Many never saw again. Yamaguchi later described hearing the sound of an aircraft overhead. When he looked up, he saw something descending beneath a parachute. Seconds later, everything disappeared into pure white light. He threw himself into a nearby ditch just as the blast wave arrived. The shockwave lifted him off the ground. Buildings collapsed. Windows became deadly shrapnel. Temperatures near the explosion reached several thousand degrees. A massive firestorm swept through the city. He had suffered severe burns. His eardrums were ruptured. He was temporarily blinded. Yet somehow, he was still alive. When Yamaguchi regained consciousness, Hiroshima no longer existed. Entire neighborhoods had vanished. Roads were unrecognizable. Thousands wandered silently through the ruins. Many had burns so severe their skin hung from their arms. Others searched desperately for family members who would never answer. Black rain began falling from the sky. The rain carried radioactive particles mixed with ash and debris. No one understood what it meant. People simply drank it. The city burned for days. Despite his injuries, Yamaguchi made an astonishing decision. He was going home. Imagine surviving the deadliest explosion in human history and believing your nightmare was finally over. For Yamaguchi, it had barely begun. After an exhausting journey involving damaged rail lines and overcrowded trains, he finally reached Nagasaki. His wife burst into tears. His face was wrapped in bandages. His body was badly burned. His hearing was nearly gone. Most people would have stayed in bed. Not Yamaguchi. Just 3 days later, he reported to work. His supervisor listened politely as Yamaguchi described an entire city disappearing in a single explosion. One bomb, one airplane, an entire city destroyed. His boss interrupted him. Impossible. No single bomb could destroy an entire city. Before Yamaguchi could continue, someone shouted. Another airplane had appeared overhead. It was August 9th, 11:02 a.m. Again, there was a blinding flash. Again, the earth shook. Again, an entire city disappeared. The second atomic bomb detonated over Nagasaki. The office building where Yamaguchi worked shielded him from the worst of the thermal radiation. Against every law of probability, he survived again. His wife survived. Their infant son survived. Many of their neighbors did not.
Surviving the explosions wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. Radiation sickness appeared gradually. Hair loss, fever, extreme fatigue, bleeding. Doctors had little understanding of radiation poisoning. Many survivors died weeks later. Others developed cancers decades afterward. Yamaguchi endured chronic health problems for the rest of his life. Yet he continued working. He raised a family, and he refused to let hatred define his life.
For decades, he rarely spoke publicly about what happened. Like many survivors, known in Japan as hibakusha, he carried painful memories that were difficult to revisit. He had seen thousands die. He had watched 2 cities vanish. He knew he had survived events that almost no one else could imagine. As the years passed, he decided that remaining silent no longer served a purpose. Instead, he became an advocate for nuclear disarmament. His message was simple: no one should ever experience what he experienced. For many years, Japan officially recognized him only as a survivor of Hiroshima. Although many people had been in both cities, the documentation required to prove it was difficult to assemble. Finally, in 2009, the Japanese government formally acknowledged that Tsutomu Yamaguchi had survived both atomic bombings. He remains the most widely recognized individual officially certified as having survived both attacks. It wasn't a title he ever wanted. It was simply the truth.
History usually remembers the mushroom clouds, the politics, the surrender, the beginning of the nuclear age. But history is also made of individual lives. One engineer, one forgotten document, one impossible journey, one second chance, then another.
Tsutomu Yamaguchi's story reminds us that even in humanity's darkest moments, extraordinary resilience can emerge. Not because survival was likely, but because sometimes the impossible happens.
If you enjoy incredible true stories that sound impossible but really happened, subscribe to Wild Stories After Dark. Every week, we uncover astonishing events from history that prove reality is often stranger than fiction. Because sometimes the wildest stories are the true ones.